Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive, into the Horus heresy. This time we're looking at betrayer, which is, it's a pretty intense look at what happens when brother turns against brother.
Yeah, it's a really tragic element of the Horus Heresy, this whole civil war that engulfs the galaxy. It's not just, planets and star systems clashing. It's these superhuman warriors, these space marines, forced to fight against those they once called brothers.
It's like imagining your closest friends suddenly becoming your worst enemies. It's a betrayal on a scale that's almost impossible to grasp, and Betrayer focuses on two of the most brutal legions involved, the World Eaters and the Word
Oh
Bearers.
yeah, talk about a double dose of intensity.
Yeah.
The World Eaters, they're known for their savagery. They're almost insatiable bloodlust in close combat. And then you have the Word Bearers. These guys are driven by a religious zeal that twists even the noblest of intentions.
So we've got these legendary warriors, each led by a Primarch, these demigod-like beings. Some remain loyal to the Emperor of Mankind, while others side with the War Master Horus, who has fallen to chaos. How could such a bond shatter what pushes these legions to such extremes?
Those are the questions that Betrayer really digs into. It explores the why behind the bloodshed. The novel shows us how the pressures of this galactic civil war can crack even the strongest loyalties, warp minds beyond recognition, and ultimately shape the destiny of entire worlds.
Let's start with the World Eaters. They have a reputation for being, well, a bit much even for Space Marines. And their Primarch Angron, he's a figure shrouded in both power and tragedy. I mean, we're talking about a guy who had these horrific implants called butcher's nails hammered into his skull.
Imagine implants designed to suppress fear and enhance aggression, essentially turning you into the perfect killing machine. That's the grim reality for Angron and his World Eaters. The nails were meant to make them the ultimate weapons, but the side effects were utterly devastating. They eroded their sanity and twisted them into something monstrous.
We see this play out through Karn. He's the eighth captain of the World Eaters, and he barely remembers the drop site massacre on Istan III, a pivotal event in the heresy, even though he nearly died there.
Think about that for a second. A warrior known for his skill and brutality can't even recall a battle that almost claimed his life. The butcher's nails, they enhance aggression, but they also fragment memories, warp perception. It makes you question, are these warriors truly in control, or are they slaves to these implants driving them to kill?
There's a chilling quote from Daemon Pratanus, a World Eater, who explains why his legion was considered unreliable by the Emperor. He compares them to the Space Wolves, another fierce legion, saying, "The wolves obey the World Eaters, not so much. They were just too wild, too unpredictable for the Emperor's grand plans."
It's a great comparison. It highlights what the Emperor wanted. He desired order-control soldiers, not berserkers. The World Eaters, with their nails and their inherent savagery, they were never meant to be tamed. They were weapons forged for a single-purpose destruction.
So if the World Eaters are the weapon, then Lorgar and the Word Bearers, they're like the twisted masterminds behind this whole rebellion. They're the religious fanatics of the heresy and betrayer, shows us just how deep Lorgar's devotion to chaos runs.
It's scary how deep it goes. Lorgar's plans for rebellion were brewing long before Horus even entered the picture. He believed in chaos, saw it as the true power in the galaxy, and envisioned a future where humanity would be remade in its image, a future of pain and suffering, all fueling the power of chaos.
It's a horrifying vision, and it gets even more disturbing when we see Lorgar resurrect this massive warship called the Furious Abyss and rename it the Blessed Lady, a symbol of his twisted faith.
That ship becomes this potent symbol, not just of his power, but of his unwavering commitment to chaos. It's a declaration that he's willing to go to any lengths to reshape the galaxy, according to his vision, a vision fueled by something far darker than simple faith.
And then we're thrown into the Siege of Armatura, where the World Eaters and Word Bearers launch a full-scale assault on the Ultramarines' homeworld. Talk about an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. The tension is palpable as these legendary legions collide.
You have Armatura, a world known for its beauty, its academies, its disciplined warriors. It stands in stark contrast to the brutal, chaotic forces that the World Eaters and Word Bearers represent. It's a microcosm of the entire heresy order versus chaos, brother against brother, all playing out on a world teetering on the brink of annihilation.
And the World Eaters, true to form, they go for these brutal head-on assaults. But there's this one character, Latara Saren, a World Eaters captain, who actually tries to strategize to bring some order to their chaotic attacks. She's a fascinating contrast to Karn and Angron, who just want to tear everything down.
She's like a glimmer of the World Eaters' past back when they valued discipline and strategy. But the nails, the constant whispers of rage and violence are taking their toll. Even she can't fully escape the bloodlust that's consuming her legion.
It's heartbreaking to see how this affects even Karn, a warrior who embodies the World Eater's savage nature. He's forced to fight alongside the word bearers, and you sense this internal conflict, this unease about cooperating with these zealots.
That struggle shows that Karn isn't completely lost to the nails. There's a part of him buried beneath the rage that still clings to some sense of honor, a warrior's code that sets him apart from the mindless butchery. But that flicker of his former self is fading fast as the siege intensifies, pushing him closer to the brink.
Then we have the arrival of titans on both sides. It's like watching gods clash. On one side, you have the Ember Queen, a warhound titan from Legio Audax, representing the calculated aggression of the World Eaters, and on the other, the Corinthian, an Imperator-class titan from Legio Oberon, symbolizing the unwavering might of the Imperium.
The scale of these battles is just staggering. These titans, these walking mountains of metal and firepower, they become symbols of the forces at play. Their clash echoes the very struggle that's tearing the galaxy apart. And amidst the thunderous explosions and devastating firepower, we're reminded that this war is ultimately fought by individuals, each facing their own personal battles.
The casualties are horrific, and we get this incredibly tense scene where Kida, who controls the Ember Queen's weapon systems, has to shoot her way out of the cockpit after they're crippled by the Corinthian. Her Princeps Celestine is dead, and her reaction, this chillingly calm, "He's dead," speaks volumes about the emotional toll of this war, a toll that extends far beyond the physical battlefield.
Yeah, it's like the weight of the war.
Yeah.
The constant death and destruction has numbed her to the point where even the loss of her princeps barely registers. It's a chilling reminder of how this conflict is eroding the very foundations of humanity.
Back on the World Eater's flagship, the Conqueror, there's this growing unease about the Butcher's nails. We overhear Latarl Hork, a contemptor dreadnought, think ancient warrior entombed in a walking sarcophagus, and Velcaridar, a tech priest, having this hushed, tense conversation.
This is where things get really interesting. The knowledge that Velcaridar holds is crucial. He knows the nails are causing degeneration, that they're slowly killing the World Eaters, and he knows that the Emperor himself covered it up.
That's a huge revelation, isn't it? It suggests that the Emperor was willing to sacrifice an entire legion for the sake of victory, a chilling insight into the brutal calculus of power.
It certainly casts a dark shadow on the Emperor's supposed benevolence, doesn't it? And the irony is that Velcaridar is repairing Gorchild Karn's infamous chain axe while secretly designing a new weapon for Angron. He knows the Primarch is doomed, but he's still playing his part in this grand, tragic opera.
And then we have the arrival at Nuceria, Angron's homeworld. It's a place steeped in trauma for him, a constant reminder of his brutal past as a gladiator slave.
Nuceria represents Angron's pain, his rage, his inability to escape the shackles of his past. You can practically feel the dread emanating from the ruling Thalkir family. They know that Angron hasn't returned as a liberator, but as a conqueror, an instrument of destruction.
And the way he describes his past, his longing to have died on Nuceria with his fellow gladiators, it's heartbreaking. You can see that beneath all the rage and violence, there's this deep, unhealed wound that drives him.
It reminds us that even these superhuman figures, these Primarchs who wield the power of demigods, are still capable of profound sadness. Angron's story is a testament to the cruelty that pervades the galaxy and the enduring power of trauma.
But in the midst of all this, you start to see cracks in the alliance between Lorgar and Erebus, his right-hand man. They both serve chaos, but their approaches are so different.
Yeah, Lorgar is focused on the big picture, on suffering as a source of power for chaos. He's got this chilling plan to retune the warp to reshape reality itself. Erebus, on the other hand, he's more of a schemer, fixated on prophecies and manipulating events to his own ends.
So we have Lorgar, the architect, the grand visionary, and Erebus, the subtle hand-moving pieces on the board. This difference creates this palpable tension between them, and you can't help but wonder what it means for the future of the heresy.
It really highlights the multifaceted nature of chaos, doesn't it? The different interpretations, the competing agendas that simmer beneath its surface. It's a reminder that even within the ranks of the damned, there's no true unity, only a temporary alliance bound by a shared thirst for power and destruction.
And then, bam, it all goes to hell. The ruin storm erupts on Nuceria, a warp storm of unimaginable power fueled by Lorgar's manipulations and the sheer violence engulfing the planet.
Picture the city drowning in blood, the sky darkening despite the dawn as reality itself begins to unravel. The ruin storm is a physical manifestation of chaos, a tear in the fabric of the universe, and it heralds the arrival of something truly monstrous.
It's terrifying. The characters' reactions are so diverse. Karn is horrified. Aruratal is grimly accepting, and Latara is just fighting to survive. It's chaos on a cosmic scale, and you can't help but feel a sense of dread as the galaxy itself seems to teeter on the brink.
The rune storm marks a point of no return. The lines between reality and the warp are blurring, and the question now isn't who will win, but what will be left when the dust settles.
And just when you think it can't get any crazier, we have this epic confrontation between Angron and Reboot Gilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines. Talk about a clash of titans.
This isn't just a battle, it's a clash of ideologies of the very souls of their legions. Angron embodies the unbridled fury, the primal rage, while Gilliman represents order discipline, the strategic brilliance of the Imperium.
It's a whirlwind of violence, a dance of death between two superhuman figures. Gilliman, he's clearly outmatched in terms of raw power, but he uses his tactical brilliance to try and outmaneuver Angron to find a weakness in the storm of rage.
But Angron's no longer just a berserker. He's a conduit for the warp's power, fueled by Lorgar's manipulations. His rage amplified to unimaginable levels. You can sense the very fabric of reality, straining under the pressure of their clash.
And then comes the transformation. Angron, pushed to the absolute limit, ascends to daemonhood. Picture this colossal, molten figure, flesh-burning armor fused with bone, a being of pure rage and power reborn in the heart of the ruin storm. It's awe-inspiring, terrifying, and utterly heartbreaking.
Angron's ascension marks a turning point. The World Eaters, already a force to be reckoned with, have become something truly monstrous. But it begs the question, has Angron found freedom from his pain, or has he become a slave to something even more sinister?
That's what's so compelling about Betrayer. It doesn't just depict these epic battles and cosmic horrors. It delves into the personal costs, the individual tragedies that unfold amidst this larger conflict. We see the World Eaters not just as a legion, but as individuals, each grappling with the nails with their own fading humanity.
It's like looking through a cracked lens into the hearts of these warriors. You see the struggle, the pain, the slow, agonizing process of dehumanization that's happening to them.
And it makes you question the nature of war, the cost of victory. Is it worth sacrificing one's soul for a cause, even if that cause is supposedly for the greater good?
These are questions that Betrayer forces us to confront. It doesn't offer easy answers, but it does make us think about the choices we make, the sacrifices we're willing to endure, and the consequences that ripple outwards from our actions.
Betrayer is a powerful and disturbing read. It's a story of loyalty, betrayal, faith, and the corrupting nature of power. It shows us the human cost of war, the emotional toll, the psychological scars that never truly heal.
It's a reminder that even in the grimdark future of Warhammer 40K, there are shades of gray moments of humanity choices that matter. And those choices have consequences not just for individuals, but for the fate of entire worlds.
So as we delve deeper into this dark and twisted tale, I invite you to keep these questions in mind. What drives these warriors to such extremes? How does this conflict warp their minds, their souls, their very being? And what will be left when the dust settles?
It's a journey into the heart of darkness, but it's a journey worth taking, for it reveals truths about ourselves, about the choices we make, and the consequences we must face.
Angron's transformation into a Daemon Prince, it's a pivotal moment not just for the World Eaters, but for the entire heresy. I mean, is it a victory or a defeat? He's free from the nails, but at what cost?
Yeah, it's a twisted freedom, isn't it? The nails were tormenting him, but they were a part of him. Now he's this Daemon Prince, this being of pure rage and power, but is he truly in control? Or has he become a puppet of chaos, a tool for Lorgar to wield?
And the other World Eaters, how do they react to seeing their Primarch become this monstrous entity?
There's a real mix of reactions, which is interesting. Some, like Karns, are almost horrified by what they've seen. Others get swept up in the whole thing. They see Angron's ascension as a sign of their own destiny.
Like Skane and Delvarus, they're really trying to hold on to their sanity, but the nails just keep digging deeper, twisting them into something almost unrecognizable.
It's constant, you know? They're bombarded with these whispers of rage and violence. Their memories are fragmented and their emotions are amplified. It's no wonder they're losing their grip on reality.
There's this scene where Delvarus is actually shot by his own men during this chaotic boarding action. And instead of being concerned Cargo's their apothecary, he just makes jokes about it.
Dark humor, right. It's their way of dealing with the constant horror, the bloodshed. They have to find a way to cope, to distance themselves from the emotional toll.
But it also shows how desensitized they've become. The nails have eroded their empathy, their ability to see their fellow warriors as anything more than tools.
They're becoming more like the weapons they wield, cold, brutal, and efficient.
And then there's Lork, the Contemptor Dreadnought, entombed in his iron coffin for centuries, a relic of a bygone era. Every time they wake him up for battle, the Legion is worse, Angron is worse,
He's a tragic figure, isn't he? Trapped in this metal prison, forced to watch as his brothers fall to the nails. He embodies the World Eaters lost, past a reminder of what they once were.
You can feel his despair in his conversations with Latar and Velcaridar. He knows about the nail's degenerative effects, but he also knows there's nothing he can do to stop it.
That resignation is heartbreaking. He's a warrior, but he's also a prisoner, a witness to the slow, agonizing death of his legion.
And what's really messed up is that Velcaridar, the tech priest who's supposed to be on their side, he knows the truth about the nails. He knows they're killing the World Eaters, but he says nothing.
It's about power, isn't it? He's bound by his oaths to the Emperor, to the Mechanicum. Speaking out would be dangerous, and sometimes silence is the only way to survive.
It's a bleak thought that even those who know the truth can be complicit in a system that's so flawed.
It makes you think about loyalty, about the limits of duty. When do you draw the line? When does your conscience override blind obedience?
These are questions that every character in Betrayer is wrestling with. Karn seeks solace in the bloodlust. Latara clings to her duty. Hork endures the pain. Argeltel, he's looking for redemption through his faith. And Angron, well, he's fully embraced the rage.
And Argeltal's story is really fascinating. He's a word-bearer, but he's also a poet, a conflicted soul searching for meaning in all the chaos.
His relationship with Erebus is so complex. They both serve chaos, but their approaches are completely different.
Lorgar views suffering as a necessary part of his grand plan, a way to achieve his goals. Erebus seems to enjoy the pain for its own sake. And Argeltal, he's stuck in the middle trying to reconcile his beliefs with the horrors he sees.
There's that scene where Erebus is talking about the massacre at Calth, the event that really kicked off the heresy, and he's practically giddy, he's reveling in the death and destruction, and it clearly unsettles Argeltal.
It shows you the different faces of chaos, the different ways it can twist and corrupt even the best intentions.
And then we see it with Argeltal's attempt to bring back his dead lover Cyrene. He's driven by love and grief, but he ends up becoming a pawn in Erebus's game.
He's so desperate to bring her back that he'll sacrifice anything, even his own humanity. And that's exactly what Erebus wants. He's using Argeltal's love as a weapon.
That scene where the choir is sacrificed to fuel the ritual, it's just brutal. It's a stark reminder that chaos isn't some benevolent force. It demands a price paid in blood and suffering.
And the worst part is that when Cyrene is brought back, she's not the same. She doesn't even recognize Argeltal. She's terrified of the demon he's become. It's such a tragic ending.
Argeltal's story is a warning, a reminder that even the purest love can be twisted and corrupted by chaos.
It makes you wonder if redemption is even possible in a galaxy like this where darkness seems to consume everything.
And then we're back on Useria for the final confrontation between Angron and Guilliman. It's the culmination of everything that's been building. This is the battle that will decide the fate of worlds.
The rage of the World Eaters, the manipulation of the Word-Bearers, Angron's descent into madness. It all comes together in this final, desperate struggle.
The battle is described as this whirlwind of violence, a dance of death between two beings who were once brothers. Now they're locked in a fight that will reshape the galaxy. Guilliman's outmatched in terms of sheer power, but he's using his strategic brilliance to try and find a weakness in Angron's rage.
But Angron's not just a berserker anymore. He's a conduit for the warp's power, fueled by Lorgar. His rage amplified to unimaginable levels. The very fabric of reality is straining under the force of their clash.
And as the battle rages, the ruin storm intensifies. It's like the warp is bleeding into reality, reflecting the chaos and violence of the fight.
It's a terrifying display of Lorgar's power, his ability to warp and twist reality itself, and it's only getting stronger.
And then Angron transforms. He becomes this colossal, molten daemon prince. His flesh is burning, his armor's fused with bone. It's both awe-inspiring and terrifying.
It's a victory for chaos, but it's a defeat for Angron's humanity. The nails, the rage, the trauma, it's all consumed him. He's become a monstrous shell of his former self.
Lorgar orchestrated this whole thing. He manipulated Angron, fueled his rage, pushed him over the edge, all to create this weapon of unimaginable power.
It shows the insidious nature of chaos, doesn't it? It promises power, freedom, vengeance. But the price is always steep, and in the end, it's Lorgar who benefits most from Angron's fall.
And Karn, he sees Angron's transformation, and there's this sense of unease, of disillusionment in his reaction.
Karn's reaction is important. It's a glimmer of hope in all the darkness. He's still fighting the nails, clinging to his humanity. And seeing what Angron has become gives him pause. It makes him question everything.
He even challenges Lorgar about the whole plan, and that's when Lorgar drops the bomb. He reveals that it was Erebus who killed Argeltal.
Wow, talk about a twist that changes everything. It shows that there are secrets, betrayals, hidden agendas, even among the traitor legions.
So Karn, being Karn, decides to take matters into his own hands. His Primarch just turned into a demon prince. The ruin storm is raging, and he's going to pick a fight with Lorgar's right-hand man. Talk about bad timing. Yeah.
It's Karn, though. He's still battling the nails that pull toward violence, but there's also that spark of his old self, the warrior who valued honor a good fight,
Aja.
and finding out that Erebus killed Argiltal, that ignites something in him.
But Erebus is no pushover. He's a word-bearer's chaplain, skilled in combat. He's got that whole Destiny's Champion thing going on.
He's powerful, definitely. But Karn, even with the nails, he's a force of nature. And now he's fueled by vengeance. He's not going to hold back.
The fight is brutal. It's a whirlwind of blades and rage. Karn tears through Erebus's defenses. He's relentless. You really think he's going to kill him?
It's a close one.
Yeah.
And that moment of hesitation from Karn, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
He could have finished Erebus off, but something stops him.
What do you think it was? Some remnant of his old self? Or something darker whispering to him?
Maybe both nails are warping him, but there's still that part of him that remembers what it means to be a warrior, to fight with honor.
But then this thing appears, this massive winged creature wreathed in smoke. It's chained up like some kind of rabid animal, and it's talking to Karn, urging him to take skulls to build a throne of blood. What is that thing?
That's Karn's future. It's a glimpse of his fate, his transformation into the avatar of Khorne, the blood god.
So even though he spared Erebus, he's still on that path to damnation. Like, he can't escape his fate. Does that mean everyone touched by chaos is doomed?
It's the question that hangs over the entire Horus heresy. Chaos is seductive. It offers power release, a way to escape pain and rage. And for someone like Karn, who's been broken by the nails, by the horrors he's seen, it's a tempting offer.
So Betrayer doesn't really give us any easy answers. It leaves us with this feeling of unease, with questions about free will in a galaxy where these forces of chaos are so powerful.
And that's what makes it so thought-provoking. It's a story about loyalty, betrayal, the corrupting nature of power, the human cost of war.
It's not just about epic battles and space marines. It's about the choices we make and the consequences of those choices. Even in a setting as fantastical as Warhammer 40K, it's a story that resonates with our own humanity. Karn versus Erebus, talk about a showdown. I mean, can Karn actually pull this off? Erebus is like Lorgar's right-hand man. He's not going to go down without a fight.
It's a battle for the ages, isn't it? You've got Karn, the embodiment of rage fueled by the nails, and Erebus, this master manipulator steeped in the power of chaos. It's a clash of titans in a way.
And the way Dembski-Bowden describes the fight, it's like you're right there in the thick of it. You can practically feel the warp energies crackling the air, thick with the stench of blood and ozone.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He doesn't hold back on the visceral details. You can hear the clang of metal, the roar of Karn's rage, the hiss of Erebus's power. It's intense.
And for a while, it seems like Karn's actually got the upper hand. I mean, he's landing blow after blow, pushing Erebus back. Could this be the end for Lorgar's favorite puppet master?
Well, Karn's a whirlwind, even with the nails messing with his mind. He's a master swordsman honed by countless battles. And right now, all that rage, all that fury is focused on Erebus. But you're right about Erebus. He's a survivor. He always seems to be one step ahead, always playing the long game.
But then just when you think Karn's going to finish him off, he hesitates. For just a second, there's this flicker of doubt, and Erebus takes advantage of it. He pushes back, rallies his strength.
That moment of hesitation, it's fascinating, isn't it? What do you think caused it? Some remnant of Karn's old self? Or maybe something darker whispering to him from the warp?
I honestly don't know. It's like there's this battle going on inside him, too. The nails are driving him towards violence, but there's still a part of him that remembers honor, that remembers what it means to be a warrior.
Maybe it's both. The nails are a powerful force. But Karn's will is strong, too. He's not just a mindless puppet. He's making choices, even if those choices are becoming more and more limited.
But then this thing appears. It's like a vision, a glimpse into Karn's future. This massive winged creature wreathed in smoke, chained up like some kind of rabid animal. And it's talking to Karn, urging him to embrace the bloodshed, to build a throne of skulls.
That's Khorne, the blood god, calling to him. It's a foreshadowing of what Karn will eventually become, a bloodthirsty avatar of destruction.
So even though he spared Erebus, Karn's fate is sealed, he's still on the path to becoming a monster. It's like no matter what he does, he can't escape what's coming for him.
It's a bleak thought, isn't it? The idea that free will might be an illusion, that we're all just puppets dancing to the tune of some cosmic force, that's a theme that runs throughout the Horus heresy. this sense of inevitability of forces beyond our control shaping our destinies.
We've seen it with Angron, with Argel Tal, with so many other characters. They make choices, but those choices seem to lead them inevitably towards tragedy, towards darkness.
And it makes you wonder about our own lives, doesn't it? Are we truly in control of our own fates, or are we just playing out roles in a story that's already been written?
Those are some heavy questions. Maybe we should take a break from the grim darkness of the far future for a bit.
Yeah, a little bit of levity wouldn't hurt. But before we do, I think it's important to acknowledge what Betrayer has shown us. It's a powerful story, a brutal story, but one that ultimately speaks to the human condition.
It's about loyalty, betrayal, faith, and the corrupting nature of power. But it's also about hope, about the struggle to hold on to our humanity in the face of overwhelming darkness.
And it reminds us that even in a setting as fantastical and violent as Warhammer 40K, there are moments of grace, of compassion, of characters making choices that matter.
It's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it. It makes you think about the choices you make in your own life, the consequences of those choices, and the kind of legacy you want to leave behind.
Betrayer's just one story in the vast saga of the Horus heresy. But it's a story that offers a unique perspective on this galaxy-spanning conflict, a glimpse into the hearts and minds of those who are fighting and dying for causes they believe in.
So if you're looking for a thought-provoking and emotionally resonant story that will challenge your assumptions about good and evil, about loyalty and betrayal, then I highly recommend checking out Betrayer. It's a journey into the heart of darkness, but it's a journey worth taking.
And who knows, maybe along the way we'll find a glimmer of hope amidst all the grim darkness. Until next time, folks, keep those chain axes sharpened, and remember, in the far future, there is only war.
And podcasting.